make the assumption we are live. So yeah, and I mean, get a shot like the whole thing. No, it doesn't necessarily be on here. I mean, just get a picture of it with the whole thing, because that's kind of, you know what I mean? That's the exact structure of the plant, just dry.
Right.
Turn
No, that's good.
off that volume. Yeah, I tell you what, man, I must have ordered the seeds for the pre-project side of things in a stoner moment. I was convinced I'd ordered both packets. Yeah. So it arrives today, and I'm all like, "Ooh, excited! Let's go and have a look and see." Oh, bollocks! What keeps freezing up? Is it?
You
So you freezing up here.
you only ordered one pack?
Yeah, and thankfully I checked the order before I wrote a rather shitty email saying, "Hey, where's my other pack, you bastards?" I went, let me go and double check this.
You had it in mind, but you didn't click it, huh?
Yeah. This sucks that the internet connection isn't too good. Well, we'll see how it goes. I might have to try and switch it, but that wasn't working too well a moment ago either. So, like anybody, hey, chat in and pop little. If this does cut out all of a sudden, hold on, we will be back. Service may be interrupted, but yeah. So I was all like hyped and excited, and then but at the same time, I'm thinking, I've got these Durban chilies, and I could cross them with some Afghan chilies. But the Durban chili thing has been done to death. I mean, yeah, as you see from the EU seed finder.
Oh yeah.
Thing, you look at Durban, and it's just like this massive array. So it was kind of interesting to take something that was different and new. Well, I say new. I found it difficult to find anything really on that Amazonian one.
Yeah, I think I've boiled it down to a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I want to talk to Jeff. See if I'm thinking about doing Banana OG to Arise. But I want to check with Jeff and see if that's something he's already done or not.
Yeah. Well, okay. So hold on a second. I don't know how well this comes up on your screen, but let's.
I know he hasn't released it yet.
Take it.
If he has
if he has done something with it, yeah. So what you want to have a look was Arise, yeah. Let's have a little poke around here and see. Name of the strain, Arise. So that is Golden Daybreaker.
Yep.
Things that have, well, at least, I mean, okay, this is what's limited to EU Seed Finder, so it's whatever they've been able to capture, whatever. But hybrids are Bebop, Prana, Scarlet Begonias, Starstruck, the Dark Hollow. But Scarlet Begonias was really stinky.
There's a lot more than that.
Yeah, well, these are just the ones that
right.
that have been entered into this system. I mean, this is always the capture, and data capture is only as good as the people that, not as good as the data that went into it. And what was the other one?
Banana OG.
Banana OG. That's just it, yeah. Platinum Banana OG Kush. Banana from which
It'd
seed
just be
house?
Banana OG. It'd be the Oregon Kid Banana OG. But I don't see it. So just Banana OG, whatever one's on the
Yeah,
top.
so there's Apothecary
Zoolander.
Genetics.
Zoolander, the
Zoolander.
third one down.
That one, Banana OG.
Yep.
And this, sorry, I've got tickly throat. This, well, Banana OG.
There's gonna be there'd be two OGs in the cross because the Daybreaker has Joseph OG in it. So you're gonna be hitting two OGs. So there's a couple things I wanted to ask Jeff about.
Okay, this is all right. Okay, let's see what this is. So this started off as probably Chem Dog with so OG Kush crossed with Chem Dog, crossed with so it's OG Kush crossed with Chem Dog gave Ghost OG, which was crossed with this Sega Masters 6040, which gave the Ghost the next, yeah, because it gives that cross, and then they crossed that with itself to give it an F2, and then they crossed it again to give the F3. So this is a selection from the F3 range. Now that might be they've selected the really, the favorable trait at that point. They've worked the line down to the F3 line. They've selectively picked out the ones that's continuing to show those traits, and those the bit, so it won't be showing much of anything else. It'll be showing very specific things.
Right.
But there's a lot of variation in amongst in amongst the entire population of like 1,000. There's a lot of variance there, but you will suddenly find one or two are expressing just what you want. They're popping up all over the show. And then you try and figure out, okay, now how do I bring those bits and pieces together?
So the Banana OG that I'm looking at is an F3.
Yes, this is an F3 Banana OG from Zoolander.
Yep.
Now, like Apothecary Genetics, theirs is slightly different. Theirs is that banana is the same Ghost OG, which gave a Banana OG. So it's the Banana OG must be the original Banana OG crossed with Joe's OG Kush, which then gives the Banana OG. Their version of Banana OG.
Yeah,
so
I want
Banana
the
OG's
other
Banana OG Kush, Joe's OG Kush, which is really misleading because the other one is Banana OG, inbred, well, not say inbred, it's been worked a little bit. Well, so yeah, okay, yeah, it's been worked a little bit. And this one is in banana cream and sour banana dub, which is interesting that the other one doesn't, well, no, the other one isn't in here because the other one is the F3 and that isn't in here.
Right. The other one is the original that's been worked. I don't know what Apothecaries is, but I know that Zoolander works with the original Banana OG cut and took it to F3.
Yeah, that's why he's got it at F3. Yeah.
Yep.
And then look, here you go. So you have somebody who's taken Banana OG, crossed it with an F1 Durban. Okay, so I'm assuming that's what the Durb is, and then cross that with whatever Gushers is. Purple City Genetics. Cherry Pie Kush Durban Points Cross Chem Dog. My God, look at the lineage of this thing. It's just like, where do you start? Oh my God.
There'd be some work put in there if they're using cherry pie. That's crazy.
Well, no, I mean, cherry pie is just Durban poison crossed with Chem Dog. That gives you cherry pie. Now, whether you get the cherry pie is a slightly different ballgame, but cherry pie is just Durban poison cross chemdog.
Yeah, that's different.
No, that's
think
what
the-
cherry pie is.
I thought the other cherry pie was a cookies cross.
Well, this is cherry. Well, okay, cherry pie Kush. There might be other cherry pies.
Okay.
I mean, Girl Scout cookies is just Durban poison cross OG Kush, which would be no dissimilar to doing Durban chili cross Afghan chilies.
Nobody knows that. Nobody knows what cookies is.
Well, maybe they've worked it out.
Nah.
Definitely a Durban. It's
all
definitely got
guessing.
Durban. Yeah, it's definitely got Durban poison in it. Well, anyway, so according to this, but I mean, technically, this is the thing about, that difference between this, you're still part of the family, but you're slightly further related cousins when you're saying, okay, well, if I just take any Durban poison and cross it with Chemdog, do I wind up with cherry pie? Well, maybe-ish, but what created cherry pie was a very specific selected one of these and one of those, resulted in that. Not every single time you cross Durban poison with Chemdog do you get the cherry pie that everybody would call cherry pie. Because, I mean, otherwise, yeah, you could just go and remake any of these things. All right, we just go and get those seeds, cross them once. There we go. Take that and then cross that once for that. I mean,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be lying if you said this is the genealogy and it just happens to match the same genealogy as all of these, but your selection process isn't there. Sure.
But that's an idea. That's one idea. I got several.
Hey, let's see who's. Sorry, let me just checking on who's in chat here. Wow, quite a few people popped in there. I'm loud. Okay. Turn down your volume.
You're loud?
Apparently so. I don't know. Don't know what that means. Maybe it means I'm talking loudly, possibly. Hey, kind of queen. Small tubes. Hey, Dirtman Dan. What else has been going on here?
Whatever happened to Underground?
I don't know. What happened to him? Yeah. It's pinging.
But yeah, so my cuts for next season, that one just, it's throwing roots a little bit, but it's just not, it's going to be so far behind. I'm not going to have a runt from cuts.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily at a fast, the next round is,
you want to move quick,
Jesus,
don't you?
I can't breathe and type at the same time and talk. All right. Obviously a guy can't multitask.
Good chilies today, huh? Good
Yeah,
chilies today?
Yeah, a lot of chilies.
Too many chilies. Guy can't talk, type, anything.
Yeah. True, barely fucking function at the moment. So yeah, it's more on the seeing if the different techniques work, and you can kind of do, people can sort of do them at their own pace at whatever stage we're at. I mean, I think season 4 is not going to be doing like a massive long veg period. It's more about, okay, just enough to get them to a point where you can flip them into flower. It's not trying to train plants for weeks and weeks and weeks. It really is, do these make a difference? And, if I apply them straight away for a couple of weeks and then throughout the, at what point during the flowering cycle do you stop doing some of this stuff?
Right.
Now I can imagine, sure, the really aggressive super cropping, you're not going to want to do the whole way through flowering cycle. But when it comes to maybe just popping the stems, well, maybe that's not such a bad thing. You know, because each time you pop it, you're sending all of that, growth hormone to go and repair it, and then it's got to go. Fuck, where do I go from here? Straight out into the, and into the buds and that to give an extra boost there.
Yeah, I always tried the last few runs I've popped pretty much until I noticed that the stretch had stopped. And I'll go through and do a good pop, and if anything's poppable after the stretch, I'll go through and I try and just kind of keep up with it.
Yeah. And then I actually genuinely have, they dried out a lot today. They're hanging up. I've just got 3 chilies that this habanero jalapeno cross that I've done, and that'll be the first generation of those. And what's really interesting, not the problem, the difference there is, it's self-pollinating. So you don't select a male and select a female. Here it pollinates itself. And so you kind of breed the generations just from the population that it creates. So because this is 2 distinctly different ones, jalapenos and habaneros. So this is like a true F1 kind of first cross. But it's the only time you'll get it is this once. I can't recreate it. Yeah.
But did you just plant them right next to each other and they one pollinated the other?
No.
Did you graft it?
I carefully pollinated. No, I didn't graft. I actually took, as soon as I saw, because the jalapeno is a much more mature plant. So it flowered much sooner. So it had mature flowers ready. And the second the habanero on some really early ones flowered, I hit them with the pollen straight away, and then just marked those ones off so that I know which ones they were, obviously, and didn't accidentally pick them and eat them.
So your habaneros have got the seeds that you want then.
Yeah, so the seeds are in the habanero fruit. I pollinated the habanero with the jalapeno.
Okay.
And so from that, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take cuts of both plants. So I can take seeds, but I'd rather take 2 cuts and keep both of the original input plants, because at any point I can use one of them back into it again, just to say, I want to bring some heat, because the heat's coming from the habanero side here. It ain't coming from the jalapeno, the jalapeno side. So if I need to give it like a heat kick, I can bring that back in, and not be messing with and bring genetics that are already in the mix, bring those back in, not suddenly introduce some complete unknown. But you can get some really amazing colors on these chilies. Ben grows some wild crosses of chilies that he's done, and they all just random crosses, but some seriously vicious stuff. You brave man, if you fucking even handle that shit. I like hot stuff, but fuck me, that stuff is vicious. Hey, Underground.
What's going on, fellas?
Hey, man.
How y'all doing today?
Good. Hey, Cascadian in chat. And Ian.
Got a little schlumpy jack today?
A little schrumpy jack. Lovely. A
little schrumpy?
Yes, mate. Yeah, we're having a general chat. If anybody in, I'll be brave and post this.
Underground, your lights out, man?
They'll be on about 6.
When you taking your plants out?
2 are actually coming out today. Yeah, last night they were looking very well, so 2 will be coming down today. The other one another day or so.
Nice. Cascadian, by the way, and yeah, SmashNet, feel free to jump in if you want to.
Yeah,
No,
I shut mine
excellent.
off.
And have you noticed any, and the ones you've chopped down, have you noticed any like hollow stems or anything like that?
I'll be able to tell you tonight when I chop them, but I think I'll probably get some. I think so.
Yeah, it's interesting. So did you notice on yours? Sorry, Lefty. So not there. That's solid. But now what you got to do is you got to cut one of the ones higher up, because Tyler and the Mystery Grow also noticed down the bottom section, which is only on the end section of like some of the branches did they turn hollow towards the very end.
That's solid.
No, cool. It's just to check each one to see, did any of them, I mean, it's just a hypothesis, it was just to see, because it would be interesting if it did crop up like, yeah, no, that's yours, that's solid the whole way through. Yeah.
It's got a little pinhole in there.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's to be expected. It's dried
Yeah,
out.
yeah. But yeah, it's not, it doesn't have the big hollow stem, no. Nope. At least not on that one, but that one was a pukey one. That one, yeah, let's not even talk about that one. That one was just kind of there for to keep the others company.
And anybody find any, bag seed as it's put yet?
No hermaphroditic traits, no bag seed, nothing so far. But I haven't trimmed up and cut down, so. But just the observation, no problem so far.
Yeah, they all look to have been, yielding pretty decently, apart from obviously the sick one. But I think as a general rule, they've all yielded pretty well.
Mine really chunked up the last couple of weeks, man.
Yeah, they put on weight.
Yeah, I wasn't too impressed here probably 3 weeks ago, a month ago. Of course, I had some hang, but yeah, these last 2 weeks, they've really put on some weight.
Hang on a second. I'm just going to go grab a book. Hold on 1 second. Carry on chatting amongst yourselves.
Yeah, we can do that.
What you smoking on today, Lefty?
I shall be back.
Doghead, dude.
Okay.
It's my last. Dude, this is the last bud.
No boy.
I got one drying though, man. I made sure the timing was right.
Okay.
But yeah, I got 3 in the cloner. I always got one on hand, man. Always got that dog head on hand.
That's what's up.
What you got today?
I'm smoking some NTOG, brother.
NTOG? What's NT?
NT is Night Terror OG.
Nice.
Yeah. Pretty decent. It starts off like when I say after 2 weeks of cure and dry, it starts off kind of sour. Once you hit the 3 to 4 week, it's like straight fuel pungent. Yeah.
Then I know this didn't come from a dispo if you're talking about it like that.
Oh no. Hell no. This is not dispensary.
I was gonna say I never heard of this one before. Is this a friend's or something?
Yeah. Well, actually, it's something that just sits around. I don't talk about much.
All right.
I had a couple things, I just don't be showing, dude. It's just like, hey, I just let them come on through.
You gotta have that card in your pocket.
Yeah,
Sorry, I missed out on the.
Oh no, we were just talking about what we were smoking today, and Lefty was asking what I was smoking. I told him Night Terror OG, and he was like, "I ain't seen that one. Is it a friend's?" I'm like, "No, this one is one that just comes through the garden here and there. I don't talk too much about her." But...
I mean, like a name like that, like so. Tell me, sir. What is your ailment? I just can't get to sleep at night. Well, believe it or not, I can highly recommend Night Terror.
I just tell them it's NTOG.
Oh dear. I need to have some good stoner humor. I showed my daughter that the wheelchair one.
Oh my goodness.
She laughed so hard, man. She was like, "Oh, my cheeks hurt."
The wheelchair one.
Yeah, the one that Tyler posted up, man. The one that said my mouth says no, but my
Yeah.
body says
Oh,
just don't.
yeah,
I can't
yeah,
stop
yeah.
Would
Richard
you order a
D.
threesome of Wish?
He was on the
Richard
roll
D.
that
Yes,
day.
I will show you some pictures of my roots on my Instagram page.
Yeah, I will too. Mine are getting
Hey,
chopped
Cascadian, how you doing,
tomorrow.
buddy?
Hey guys,
What's going on, man?
What's going on?
We woken you up there by the looks of it.
sitting in bed all day, man. The smoke is wild, so there's not a whole lot to do. I'm actually seeing the sun for the first time in like 4 days.
Oh shit, whereabouts are you?
Pacific Northwest. So Cali and Oregon
Okay.
were all on fire, and then a new front came in and just made the smoke curl and blow right back across the top of the country. So
Jesus, man.
yeah,
Nice. So
Hold on there, fellas.
you're currently the ashtray.
Yeah. I had to take a minute to actually like look at the sun for a second before I got on, because it's just like I haven't seen.
You went outside, quickly sacrificed a goat and a
Oh, no,
virgin,
I
and
looked
went.
outside. It's nasty out there. It smells like an ashtray out there.
Oh no, man.
My dog's
Well,
even
it's
on
going to be. Well, I mean, the indoor crops are the ones that
Hey,
are the
Pete.
ones likely to
I think you're
survive.
muted.
Yep. Ooh. Am I? Is that back? Oh, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? 1, 2, 3.
There you
You're
go.
good.
Cool.
I got
There you go, Pete.
Excellent. No, excellent. Yeah, no, just saying. I mean, all the outdoor crop, man. Oh, that's going to be. Well, it will certainly have the nose of 2020 when you're trying to sell it in the future.
You won't have
That
to ask
discussion
what
about,
year it was.
it's not going to take a professional sommelier to go, oh, yes, 2020. Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, even the grapes out there.
Mm,
That's going to be bad, because you'll still pick up. You can't
You
leaf
can taste
blow
it in
that
the wine.
away.
Yeah, you can taste it in the wine when they make wine with it.
Yeah.
I think the fires from 2018, they were saying how the bottles that they made from that year, they can taste it now. It's like heavy.
Yeah, that doesn't go away. It goes right into the grape.
that's crazy. Yeah. But I mean, it's not, I mean, yeah, you just realize it's so much though. I mean, what about any grain crop that's outside? Anything that's suddenly now going to have all this ash just settle on it. Yeah, that's a real problem. Yeah. You don't just clean that, and then it doesn't just clean off, it permeates itself way into all of this stuff. Get used to barbecue, smoky flavor, everything. You know?
Yeah, I definitely won't be buying like barbecue chips, you know.
It'll be on the
they'll
market
just be
soon.
chips.
Yeah.
The barbecue is redundant. Oh man. Yeah, no, so we've been looking at and starting to try and plan have this side project, which is to do like a proper breeding. Well, yeah, to do proper breeding, see how put money where the mouth is, and not just talk about it where we legally can, and then do it. I mean, I'm doing it with chilies as well, so it's good fun to play around with making and producing a line there, because it's the same process. A little different in that you don't have a mom and a dad that you have to pick from, but it's still picking from the offspring and crossing the relevant offspring to figure out which ones you want, and do crossing, because it's as you may have heard, it's like a jalapeno cross with a habanero. So these are two very different ones. Keep the original parents, and at any point you want to bring the heat back in, you take the original parent and cross that back in again, and just bump the heat factor up, along with whatever else you've worked at that point. But the interesting thing is, which is why I quickly shut up to get a book, which is that marijuana botany book. I mean, in there, when they go into it's like the favorable traits of cannabis. So like the whole thing I think about having a breeding, if we're doing this, is to actually have goals of, why are you doing it? What are the things? And it's being able to measure that. And I think that's part of the catch is, what are measurable targets you can apply? And that's where this book's actually kind of handy because it cuts through, I guess, like the crap and goes, right, these are what are kind of measurable, favorable traits. Things like, then he breaks them down into general traits and then like floral traits along with seedling leaf traits, etc., and fiber and that. So you have this, so when we go into it, we can figure out, okay, what is everybody doing? What category of trait does that fall into, and how can we measure it so that we can track it through the line? Yeah, I don't know. Do you have much experience with seed breeding? Cascadium. I really don't know. You can tell us a little bit more about yourself. I don't really know. I haven't sat back and watched 7 hours of the Portland Tasting Society to get in the backstory, dude. So my apologies.
I've made some seeds, but I haven't worked anything past probably an F2 at this point. So I'm still in the like see what I got phase. You still throw it against the wall and see what sticks. So I'm just at the point now where I need to develop the sort of like tracing mechanisms and protocols to make sure that I'm actually like keeping track of the right traits with the right lines to get the right outcomes.
Yeah, because I've been trying to work out how do you even, the thing you start, people go, okay, Punnett square. You go, all right, great, Punnett square. It's a really good starting point. But most people do a Punnett square for like 2 traits. You go, great. Now, hang on, expand that out to, the full range of what you're looking at. And suddenly it's, tens of thousands, if not hundreds, millions of combinations that suddenly crop up that you've got to take into account. And I've been trying to write some code, some software to help map that process, how to do that. And part of the tricky bit is when you do that first cross, and this is why, I think it was you, like the analogy of the analogy of the painting of paint, where you've got people who make paint and you've got people who paint, 2 very different things. And the people who are painting are taking all these different raw colors that are being made and creating amazing artwork, but they themselves don't have necessarily the skill set for making the raw artwork. Somebody who makes amazing cameras doesn't take amazing pictures necessarily. And the guy who takes amazing pictures has no fucking clue how to build the camera. That's a rare beast that does that. But the average Joe that takes a decent picture. I mean, what's the movie? Kelly's Heroes. I don't know if you've seen that with Donald Sutherland in it. There's a scene where it's a Second World War scene. He's a tank commander, and there's a scene where the tank's broken down, and the general comes around, and he's sitting there. He goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, I'm drinking some wine, eating some cheese, catching some rays." And he goes, "Yeah, but the tank's broken. Why aren't you helping fix the tank?" He goes, "Mate, I know how to drive it. I don't know what makes it go." And I think that is probably like the difference in people who are working a lot to produce yellow and blue so that somebody else can make green. If you know what I mean, if you only ever have green, you cannot make yellow and blue. You need somebody else who's actually working away and figuring out, okay, so these are the base materials. And those seed breeders are few and far between. They're the ones who are actually, working these really, and they spend years doing it. And it's usually a personal project because, they get it to that point where they go, all right, that's a line. And then that can be used as a starting point for somebody else's mixing pot because it's really stable. Richard D. and Chet, yeah, it's a classic film. I highly recommend it, by the way. When they go into battle, they play was it Cry of the Valkyries, and they fire paint shells. freaks him out. But yeah, that's and then the more you start looking and reading into this stuff, it just the complexity just gets greater and greater. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna back up a bit.
Yeah,
Because
you
you
can
can-
almost overwhelm yourself.
Yeah, you can definitely get lost in the details.
I've been trying to develop some sort of I don't know if it's like a sheet or like a spreadsheet but I'm trying to organize like the traits and the plants and who's got what in each generation so that I can keep track of like frequency and
Mm.
and then who was used, and then for each generation as the project moves on, so you can actually tell if the frequency is increasing, decreasing, if you're actually getting where you want to go. But I haven't found a way to do it that doesn't end up needing a magnifying glass to read. So 'cause there's just so much. So that's
And to be
where
able
I'm
to predict
stuck at.
those, yeah, and then to be able to predict where the traits are going to go. So, after you've run, you've got enough of the generational stuff, you should be able to start saying, okay, well, if I mix this and this,
Right.
what traits are going to be carried through? So yeah, you're starting to have something where you can do it on expression. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, everything, and I know what I'm going to try. I've got it on another laptop. It was from a British university. The software is still maintained, and it does just that. It allows you. It is a file format that you enter it in and you include the traits, and then you can say, okay, so these parents, now what traits came through when that cross was done with these parents, and you've already defined what the parents, so you define like these are the parents of those parents, and then you just define what each one is. And so it can build up that picture. So you do it in small, concise, like bits and pieces, and it gradually gets bigger and bigger over time, and then it plots the whole thing out, and you can say, okay, show me everything with this, and it'll show the whole lot.
Oh,
I mean, I
wow.
did it with I took that Seed Finder database, for instance, and converted that at one point into a file format that I could use for that piece of software. And that was also interesting when you say, pick this, and it just shows you like, okay, this is everything that's got it in it. It's like, oh my God.
Sounds like cool.
And it's free. It's academic software, but it is free. So I will, if I dig it up, if I can find it, I'll let you know what it was called.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man. That'd be awesome.
I mean, that's definitely where I go and search for stuff. Is I just go and look in the normal, academic horticulture and ag tech, and say, okay, it's no different. So just go and look
They have
for it
the
there.
same problems, yeah.
Yeah, and this is the other thing. Is there's no new problem here. These problems have all been faced somewhere else. It's go and find somewhere else's solution. That's probably 90% of the fix, and then just tweak it.
Right.
I mean, even look at completely different industries for solutions to these problems. So how long have you been growing in it for, if you don't mind me asking?
Like 7 or 8 years.
Okay. And is it just for personal, or is it
Yeah.
commercial operation?
No, looking for a job in the commercial sector, but it's just personal. I've been trying to stack up a whole bunch of different land races so I can get outside of the American genetics box, because it's all Kens and Diesels and OGs, and if you go back far enough, it's just all that stuff reworked into itself to make the newer stuff. So I'm trying to step outside of all of that and work with genetics that aren't polyhybrid themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it certainly does.
So that's why I'm trying to figure out this like tracking thing, because I need to work the land races into particular traits and then be able to cross those with some sort of predictability. or it's just going to be nasty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that really is probably the dream at the moment. Now that there's no children at home anymore. My other job is 100% remote, pays pretty well, so it's kind of nice. I can think of like, well, do I really want to be living in a shitty weather island with bullshit cannabis laws? No. And yeah, looking at the Caribbean, looking at Jamaica, really with the idea of if that was to happen, and I need to go and live there for a couple of months and try and work remotely and see how well it pans out. And if it is at all doable, and if it is, then go for it. But they're ready to be able to buy something that has enough land, and I'm talking like 10, 20 acres, to be able to put pieces aside and say, all right, let's actually do. It doesn't have to. It's non-for-profit. I mean, my day job pays for
Right.
but this is to be able to actually then say, all right, let's try and do it properly. Do 1,000 seeds, build it out, and do it properly, and keep it keep it clean and controlled. And if you've got it, you don't want to just go and pollinate the entire neighborhood. Figure out how to do this in a real way. And work some new line, starting with that raw material. And certainly for the side project, the seeds that the mystery grow is going for is Afghan, and so it's a fairly bit Afghan cross with Brazil Amazonian, it's called. So it's a landrace from the Amazon. I don't know how they claim it's a landrace. Very little information I can find on it. It's supposed to have a good mold resistance. But that would be interesting. So these are two very distant, non-related strains, that neither of them are polyhybrids. They are, so in that sense, land races.
Trying to remember. I know.
And what are you growing at the moment?
Right now, I've got a bunch of clones, and then I just popped some seeds. Popped some Lime Pop 5, which is from Mean Gene, but I honestly couldn't tell you what the cross is because he's worked his stuff extensively, so it's convoluted. And then I popped some other ones called Heartbreaker, which is Blackberry Kush, and hang on, I got it here.
Heartbreaker.
Yeah,
Now,
it's
let me ask you.
a buddy of mine.
Let me ask you something. Did you find any blackberry terps in that? Because I've smoked a couple of different blackberries, and I've never had the blackberry terps. That's why I'm asking.
They're just seedlings right now, so I can let you know in a couple of months, 6 months.
Okay.
The mother is Blackberry Kush and Medijuana, which is an older line, and then the dad is VJ Shorts Flow crossed with Goji OG. That's right. And then those two, so it's a polyhybrid of those 4 lines. But it turns out some pretty nice flowers. I've seen lots of nice pictures. I just obviously haven't tasted it yet. So,
and do you primarily grow from seed, or do you grow?
I like to keep clones, but I hunt through seed, so I have a bit of both. I'll keep the good ones from what I find, but I also have some of the more famous American clones.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of both, but this is all just a waste of time, really, when it comes to those landrace projects. I'm just buying myself a little bit of time because I guess I'm scared to get in the water, But my passion's really with the land races and sorting those out and then crossing those to make stuff that's not related to everything I'm working on right now. So
You know what I thought of was as a product idea. If this takes off, then fuck it. There's a record of when this idea was announced. Damn it. But once you found like this is the strain that works, and like a beginner's guide, I mean, like a starter pack sort of thing, is using grafting. So you take a clone of the mom and the dad that we use to create these F1 seeds, and then you graft both of those onto the same rootstock, and you sell a clone that comes with both the mom and dad. So it's not a herb. It is a male and it is a female. And when this thing goes into flower, it is going to pollinate, but it's going to be pollinated, female pollinated with male flower. And these are clones of the original line that are being used. And that way you get both in one. Sort of like an easy breeding project, or you create your own seed starter kit, where people are taking. but you see, for your plant count, it's only one plant, so that's the interesting thing.
Right.
And there's no genetic. Sorry.
The hard part would be making sure that the timing was right, that the female flowers were far enough along when the male opened that you actually get a decent amount of seed. Because usually the males are in such a hurry that they're about spent by the time the female's ready. So you end up with like 50 seeds instead of 500.
Yeah, which may not be a bad thing either, meaning that not your entire harvest is seeded, so you get some usable bud and 50 potentially fire seeds. But I was just thinking that'd be a neat little trick because it gets around your plant count problem. You don't have to worry about.
You just have to graft the male onto the female.
Yeah, or either way. I mean, it doesn't really matter which way you do it. It's just what you're grafting one onto the rootstock of the other, and away you go. So, in fact, if you find that the male is producing a bit, I mean, that's an interesting one, because now you're looking at grafting it onto a better rootstock. I like the bud structure, which is what they do with fruit trees. They like the apple roots don't traditionally produce big trees, so you control the size of an apple tree by what rootstock you've grown it onto. I've often thought, shit, you look at some of these plants where the stalk is as thick as your fist, and you're like, man, if you could just splice the next plant onto that and take that big rootstock that's just, you cut it and you see how much moisture it's just oozing out. It could really support another decent sized plant. But we'll see if that ever happens.
Or if you could, if you had a plant, like what happens if you cut the top of, or I guess you wouldn't want to cut it off completely, but if you grafted an Afghani onto a Thai rootstock, and then once the Afghani grafted, cut the rest of the Thai top off, so it was just an Afghani top and a Thai bottom.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you what, I don't know if you've read it or got it, but I can highly recommend. Oh, hang on.
That's one I don't have. I haven't bought it yet.
I can highly recommend it. I mean, I just got it the other day, and I had to kind of read it cover to cover. But it was particularly after the breeding part of it. But the one thing that they do go into is like different propagation techniques, and some really interesting techniques for doing grafting, where you would take your two plants, seed them, grow them out, and you cut them across each other. So you don't actually physically cut one off and cut the other one and try and splice it in. You make two cuts, and then you just bandage them together essentially. And eventually they'll bond, and then you choose which rootstock you want, and you just cut the other one clean off and cut off the other piece you don't need. Which is probably, it might be an easier way of doing some of them. I know doing the cutting it at an angle, sticking it in, wrapping it all in a bag, hoping that it keeps getting enough moisture. That sometimes seems to be a bit problematic.
They have those grafting tools too, where you can put it in one way and it'll cut the one side, and then you put it on the other way, it'll cut the other side, and then they match up perfect with the V cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you slide it right in there, wrap it around.
Does that work with?
It's
I mean, is
usually for,
cannabis a hard? Because I know it works like hard stalk stuff, like fruit trees and that. You know, you can because it's a hard wood. Does that also work with cannabis being more fibrous than like a wood structure?
I think it would work. I'm kind of interested in it now because I have some Vietnamese black plants.
Ooh.
And I just wonder what happens if you graft an Afghani on there and then cut the top of the Vietnamese off, and you have a really vigorous Vietnamese root system with what's supposed to be a short and stocky Afghani. What's it going to do to it? Is it just going to blow out the top and make it massive, or kind of interesting?
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, no, exactly. That would be an interesting one to try out. Yeah, like the Vietnamese, but that'd be interesting. My brother lives in Saigon.
Oh, wow.
I was actually thinking of going, hey, need to get hold of some, tradition on your next bike ride out across rural, because that's what he loves doing. He goes off and bike rides across the rural countryside. Ask him, if you bump into any locals with the local weeds, so long as you can get those seeds squeaky clean, no plant material on them, you can send them over there. That's fine. But that would be quite interesting. Again, the temptation would be to take that and cross it with Durban poison, but that would just like, no, something else. Find something else. I think if you want to stick with like landrace and sativas that are short flowering, as you go for non-tropical sativas. So get into the subtropics, which is actually Durban's advantage, is it is relatively short flowering for a sativa. And that was the interesting thing about this Amazon one as well. It's not like the Congo ones and things, as you get like on the equator and closer to the equator, it just gets stupidly long.
Yeah, they take like 8 months.
Yeah, because what, the seasons changed? Shit, when did that happen?
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I've read it before, but there's some pretty good hypothesis on where the Brazilian stock comes from. I don't remember right now where it was, though. I want to say Sumatra.
Well, it's a bit of. It says mostly sativa, which is interesting. So, one place I said it says it's completely sativa, another one says, 75%, 25%, the other, and it's like, okay, so it's a little unknown, but if it's been kicking around long enough, and this becomes the problem. You think what would be nice, again, this would be the nice thing about the plant in Jamaica, is that you could order 1,000 seeds and plant 1,000 of them and see what you get. Because really what I'm thinking is you want to take that, what you plant, cross everything amongst itself, almost do an open air pollination of that first batch, grow that next lot out, and see what happened. Did it all turn into chaos, or do they look like the first batch that you grew? And you go, okay, so it looks like the same. Great, we've got a good line to work, a stable line to work with.
Right.
We don't have any freaks suddenly popping out of nowhere.
I think even within a lot of land races, if you pop 1,000 seeds, I think you're still going to see some variation.
Oh yeah, but the vast majority of what you're looking for is going to always be showing up.
Right.
If I had, out of 1,000, I had 10 16 footers, I expect in the next thing to have 10 16 footers, kind of that should show up again, that kind, but not, I don't suddenly get 500 of the damn things. It'd be a bit like, whoa, something's not, something's up.
Something's up here, yeah.
because like everything, it's genetic, so it's biological. So there's always some kind of mutation or something that's going to happen. And that's why you can never make it exactly the same. There is no SOP in the world that will allow you from raw genetic material to produce the same plant that I have. I mean, we were saying about this when looking at that seed finder. Cherry pie is just OG Kush crossed with Durban poison. So does that mean if I take any Durban poison and OG Kush and cross it, I now have cherry pie? It's not quite that simple.
Right.
And that's the difference between making a super expensive watch, because each piece is machined and it's identical every single time. And therefore you can mass produce Rolex watches.
If you worked the Durban
anywhere in
poison
the world
to a point where it was really stabilized for like a dozen trades and cross that onto something else, I wouldn't say an OG Kush, but something else that was stabilized for a dozen trades, you could theoretically get in the same ballpark with different plants if you wanted to recreate it. But yeah, even then it's still not going to be like cherry pie or whatever you made with it, you know?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to do is narrow or increase the probability that any two plants from those separate gene pools make a predictably similar sort of outcome when they're crossed by working.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's
first,
that whole thing, like, everybody from the same, everybody from the same family kind of looks the same, but they aren't, they don't look the same at the same time, but they,
right.
You can see, oh, yeah, you're all related.
Right.
And you only have to go a couple of generations away from each other and go, okay, you're not. You know what I mean? If you take cousins, second cousins, if you follow that line down and then start looking at their kids, you go, yeah, you don't look anything like each other. But you suddenly these two kids get together and they're 5 generations down, and somebody's looking back through a family photo album and go, fuck me, do you look like the grandfather or what? And that's because it just suddenly kicked in.
Yeah, in where I'm from, we call those throwbacks. Oh, you're just a throwback. You look just like great grandpa. You're just a throwback.
A throwback. You look like the mailman.
There's that problem too. There's that problem too.
I don't know. This vasectomy didn't work. It just changed the color of the kids.
Redhead, blonde. What?
Blonde. Yeah. Caucasian, Asian. Whoa, hang on a second. Damn this COVID virus.
I don't know who you were quarantined with.
Oh shit, yeah, we just got flagged and demonetized. Yeah. So you're not in the direct line of fire, so to speak, of the fires.
There's probably a dozen fires in my state too. But I mean, the west half of the US is burning right now, so. But I'm not in danger of losing my house, no. But there are some pretty big fires. I'm in Washington, so there's a mountain range that goes right up.
Yeah, it's insane, man.
And there's fires on the east side, and I'm on the west side, so it's around, but it's not gonna burn down the city that I'm in.
Have you seen those photographs taken from above the clouds, looking down? I mean, it looks like the fires of hell. It's because through the cloud, it just looks like lava. It's like, whoa.
And then when you look at like the NASA or the NOAA photographs from space, and you see like the actual like plume
Mm.
it now has made a U-turn and gone across the top of the state, so, or the top of the country. I don't know where it's going, but it's not going out to sea.
No, no, no. What are you planting on there, Lefty?
Season 4, brother.
Hey, season 4. Nice. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. Hang on a second. Let me zoom in on that.
Those are happy little ones.
Show us again, dude. Hold on a second. If I
Oh,
can get
yeah.
this to work.
These are peach pie
There
from
you go.
Bloom.
And that these are okay.
Peach pie from Bloom.
Very nice.
From Bloom. Harry Palms.
And you're putting them all into the same size pots and everything, same grow medium.
Yeah, they
You're
won't
gonna-
be in here for long.
Are you gonna up them into the auto pots?
Yeah, I'll take them out here in a couple weeks. Once they get rooted and established in here and they start kicking, I'll put them in those auto pots.
On this one.
But yeah, unfortunately, I only have 3, so my 4th, I got a real nice cut, or yeah, it's a cut, clone, whatever you want to call it, of Ethiopian banana by X18.
Oh, wow.
It's tasty.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
one of
Tyler.
Doc D's seeds. So, I got a little overzealous during quarantine and popped a bunch of seeds and had to basically take clones because I didn't have anywhere to grow them out. So I just had a cloner full of clones and I haven't grown these plants out yet. I was like, oh, that looks like a nice female. I'll take that one. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why you guys were looking at the mystery growers cuts and going like, what the fuck? Yeah, they've been vegging for like almost 8 weeks in those little containers, apparently,
like you-
allegedly.
I can't flip in 2 weeks.
No.
Hey,
But
Lefty,
yeah,
me
so
and
see-
you in the same boat though.
I'm like, you flip it in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks? No way.
Yeah, I got a whole set of seedlings that haven't flowered out yet, and I just started more. I've taken clones of these plants twice. I still haven't managed to get them in the flowers.
At least
That's
they're
the
nice
best.
and mature now. I mean, that's the one thing about, you keep the clones going and you don't have to wait for it to reach maturity now. It's good to go. Wow, those are some roots, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, this isn't really a cut. This is a vegged plant in the corner.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So yeah, I was like, yeah, I got to get rid of some of these.
So many seeds, so little time.
But yeah, this is that little tiny runt right here.
Okay.
So it's just so far behind the other ones. I'm not gonna mess with it.
Well, you never know. That might certainly take off. I mean, they're all cut from
Yeah, they're all from the same
the
plant.
same plant. So,
Yeah. Just that was the one that got kind of nipped when I was doing my IPM spray.
leave that one as the control, the one that you do nothing to, because that's what we're doing for season 4 is it's 4 cuts of the same plant, and then one of them is being left untouched in terms of just do the usual sort of pruning that you would normally do, the yellow and dead leaves, and just make sure it doesn't get too dense, but not, going in aggressively leaf stripping. And then one of them is to be, have aggressive leaf stripping done to it and repeated according to whatever schedule people have recommended as, oh, this gives the best results. One, to just pop the stems, but just pop them, not actually bend them. And then the third one to be super cropped. And then at the end, compare it to the control that, nothing's been done to, and see, do any of them actually make a blind difference? Because they're all in the same irrigation system, which is these autopots in the same grow medium. So they're all being fed the same as in terms of the nutrient regime. The fertigation regime is the same for all of them. and they feed themselves on demand, which is nice. So it's not down to when you were watering. If you forget to water one accidentally, or as each one needs more, it gets watered more automatically. And then, and the same light, same environment, we get nice, good, hopefully baseline comparison with strains that keep apart from Lefty, who's growing when he hasn't grown before. But I think everybody else is growing plants that they've grown before, so it can actually tell, yeah, this has made a difference. It's not just, there's always the catch if you grow, if you keep changing the seeds every time you do it, you never know really how to grow that plant. You've not seen the full potential of it yet.
And yeah, and you might not know if what you're doing is actually better than what you did before you started experimenting. Might be better than the control. Is it better than your SOP as it was?
Yeah. I think what we found, we'll go into more detail on the show on Saturday, but I think it was pretty true to the packet what it said for the flowering time for these. Maybe I don't know, 70 days seems to have been where it hit for most people. Well, most, 4 out of 4 or 5.
I could have probably definitely taken it 11 weeks.
11, yeah.
I mean, today's like day 72 or 73, I want to say.
Okay, so
they could have probably gone another week, because I didn't see a whole lot of amber on my trikes, but the plants looked very ready.
Okay.
So I could have probably pushed them another week, but they look ready to go.
And that's with winter frost and that as well. So
do you think it could have been your light is why you're not seeing them mature as fast?
It could be. I don't know. Actually, I'd think it'd make it mature more, because I'm still using that far red. I was using that far red up.
Okay.
Actually, I'd have thought that it would have, they would have finished a little bit earlier.
Right.
Rather than being on schedule or later. But it just, I don't know.
Actually, the Michigo had an infrared light running all the time. And theirs definitely finished up before all of yours did. And that was on 24/7. It didn't do anything with messing with the cycle, but it's a pretty bright infrared light. Not that I actually think it actually made that much of a difference, but you never know. It's just near infrared. It's nothing particularly hectic at all. But you're also doing it under cannons. What lights do you use, by the way, Cascadian? LEDs or
the 315 ceramic metal halides for flower. I've kind of modified them though. I use a conversion kit instead of the standard hood that they come with. So I have a conversion kit inside of an air-cooled hood to kind of spread the light out across a farther square footage than they're actually rated for.
So what would you say your footprint is?
Okay, yeah.
I'm using them in 4x4 tents, and they hit the whole tent, but they're only supposed to be used over like a 3x3 or something. So it's kind of a low light situation.
Nah, it depends on which one you're using. In my experience, they have that footprint wrong. 315 rocks out a 4x4 perfectly, dude. Like if you run in a 3x3, you're going to be a little bit too hot. Your temperature, you're going to have to, add too much to control your temperatures and your humidity. I mean, that's from my experience.
Or you got to keep extra far above the plants, which
right.
All right. So the air-cooled hood actually lets the flowers get within 8 or 10 inches of the hood. I don't see any bleaching or anything negative on the leaves, so I think it works perfectly. But I used to debate back and forth with people all the time when the 315s first came out, because they're just going by what the manufacturer said. And
I agree with you. A lot of people went on what the manufacturer said without trying it. I've run them. I've run the 630 also, and you can use that for like a 4x8 as long as you have enough roof in your tent, or if you're in a room, it's better. But just like with the 315, that's for a 4x4.
Yeah, it works wonderfully. I noticed a little bit of a drop in yield, but with the increase I got in quality, it was fine.
Yeah, your corners might suffer a little bit on your, quality, but other than that, like on your yield size, but other than that, your quality goes way up.
Way up. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody says it's almost a bit like cheating when they plug in the CMH. So I'm like, that just
It's a lot of
changed the
fun.
game a bit. And it's I think it's because it's got a lot more. I mean, okay, compared to HPS, it's got more blue. It's got a lot less red. It's a cooler light, and it's a really interesting thing. This bit about red light during flower, because you don't need the red light during. You can flower with the blue light, and in fact, if you flower with the blue light, you will get really short nodal spacing. The plant will hardly stretch at all. I mean, that's what keeps the stretch in check, is the blue light side of it. And it was really interesting to hear that. I mean, it was the guy from Canada talking about it and saying, everybody goes to these red lights, but actually that's what's causing it to stretch like that. If you kept it with a cooler light in the light spectrum, you'll cut to a stretch out. And that's why, those full spectrum, high intensity white LED panels and that the plants don't stretch quite as much. And same with, I'm sure you found that with the ceramic metal halides, is that the stretch goes down a bit.
Yeah.
Compared to 315 HPS, for instance. Not
Right,
that you
yeah,
usually get those, but the equivalent 400.
I'm comparing the 315 ceramic metal halide to a 600 HPS. That's how I've seen the drop in yield. But even with the quality going up, I don't mind.
Yeah.
But the yield didn't drop that much. I mean, it's hardly noticeable if I actually hold the rest of the grow to the same standard. I don't think anybody would complain, because it's just not that big of a drop.
No, and as you say, if you make up for it in quality, if it's twice as strong, you only need to yield half as much, essentially, at the end of the day. I mean, what did people think so far that they might have pulled down or are likely to pull down from the grow?
I'm not
Any
drinking
guesses?
myself.
Yeah, I'm with Tyler on that. Like I don't have it, like, because it's water weight with this, like, it's a little bit different. You got a little bit
What are we
more.
doing? We're taking guesses on what our weight is?
Yeah, well, it'll be about 20% of whatever the wet weight is. That's kind of the average, is what you're looking at. 80% is going to be water weight.
It looks about 4 to 5 on the two that I topped, and about 3 to 4 on the one I didn't top.
That's dry weight, yeah. That's what you reckon your final dry harvest will be, yeah. Well, I would hope so, because 3 to 4 ounces wet weight's not a hell of a lot. That'll be,
Looking at like a half ounce of bud.
I'm gonna lowball.
That's always that really disappointing thing for the first time grower is, when they hang up those big, those full buds, and then they come back, a day later and go, wait, did a ripper come through here or something? Who stole all my bud? Yeah, it's all just upped and fucked off. I'd like to see them bring out the drying racks. I think I mentioned it, before, it's like a load cell in it that tracked the weight as it was coming off. And you go, all right, once a certain amount's come off, then it's dry. I know it's dry. I'm not guessing anymore. And then you can speed it up and slow it down, whatever you need to do by
Gotta get your moisture meter,
the environment.
Moisture meter. You want about 11%. If you're going commercial, you're gonna drop that down to about 9%. Us, anywhere between 10 and 12. If you're getting above that, then you kind of too wet.
Close,
yeah.
But I'm thinking, if you were in a commercial facility where you've got, you know, a commercial facility where you've got loads of those. I mean, I don't know how they dry, if they're doing it necessarily in those net racks, etc. And you've got lots and lots of those hanging up. You know, somebody's got to go around and check all of them. You want, you know, I would have thought those all being hooked up to, you know, wireless load cells. So you can just track which ones are at what stage. And as they're getting to that, oh, you know, it's 80%'s gone, go and stick the moisture probe in that one and see where we're at, you know. So you don't have to go and check every single fucking one. You just go and look at the ones that you need to look at. Or go, that one's not, the weight isn't coming off that one, why not? Or it's coming off really quickly on that one. Because that's where you can control the quality of that dry and cure process. Well, assuming they do it in some of these other, I don't know, they do with hops, and well, hops they got to be really quick with. They don't mess around with that. I know when it comes to harvesting hops, if I'm not mistaken, it's really, you don't, they get quite picky about how long that takes to get from A to B. Because so much of it gets lost.
Freeze drying now out by his way west. Out west, they got some guys that were working on some freeze drying techniques and preserving the terps like that. Like, yeah, and they got it from the hops world. Like you were saying, they want it quick. Certain hops have to be quick. Like, yeah, they're on some other level stuff out west with, you know, the drying techniques now.
Yeah, I saw that one where the guy was out there in the field with the ice box with dry ice in it, and you know, they take a plant, quickly chop it up into big chunks, throw it in with the dry ice, straight back to the, you know, the lab. Really very different to, hey, dude, you got an apple? An apple, a Bic pen, and some tinfoil. I'm going to make myself, let's get high. All right, so what we need is, we need freeze dryer, you know, $3 million worth of lab equipment. And we're going to get just as high.
Right. All for the same result.
And is your preference flour, or are you concentrates, dabber, or
No, I smoke flowers.
flour?
Yeah. I like things, whether it's food or herb, I like it as close to natural as it came. Don't go trying to improve it for me. I can do that myself. So I like the flour. Unprocessed is the name of the game. I don't even pick.
He's on a show with Fumador. He's got to like smoke a joint.
Yeah, I don't even pick the sugar leaves off till I'm ready to load it, you know. I pick the fan leaves off, let it dry, and then I just put the whole sugar leaf, everything in the cure jar. So
Nice.
it's like
Yeah,
like having a Christmas present every time you go to smoke. You know, you got to pick the leaves off, take the wrapper off, and then you finally see what you got. So me and the Fiskers, we don't spend a lot of time together.
So that broke up for me. I didn't quite catch that, but yeah, I must say, I find like over here, allegedly, but if the concentrate thing, it's definitely picking up. You know, there's certainly a lot more of it around. I don't know. I like, the only time I've ever really was in Colorado is when I go to the States with Tenassi and that, and in Denver. That's the only time I've really indulged in the concentrate side of things. And then, of course, I think that's kind of being thrown in like the deep end of the champagne pool, really. You know, you're suddenly arriving at Frosty McNuggets place and, you know, being presented with a dab fridge. It's like, fucking hell. You know, and, oh yeah, the other 37 concentrates that are on the table, those aren't mine. That's just what other people brought. But, you know, just help yourself. And you've got people like Pedro handing you, you know, $3,000 dab rig, not asking, do you know what you're doing? Have you done this before? And are you drunk? Maybe right now is not the best time to do one of these. It's like, yeah, fuck it, give it here.
Yeah. That was an
You go
interesting night.
first through a glass table with a $3,000.
Yeah.
It certainly was, man.
I was kind of in your same boat,
That
you know.
was
I
absolutely crazy.
I'd probably taken, 4 or 5, maybe 6 dabs before that weekend. And I, quadruple bet at least over that weekend. But yeah, that was quite an experience getting to hang out with those guys.
Yeah, that certainly. Hang on, I'm going to jump on my phone so I can go and have a smoke in the garage. That certainly broke any dab cherry that evening. My God, I mean, I think it even took Jeff slightly out of the equation at one point because he was there as well, sitting down, and everybody's downstairs like walking up. Whoa,
Dude, like you should have known that just by watching Pedro's lives, man. It like Dizzy will smoke the average guy under the table. Like, no, they get high. Like, that's not the average type of smoking that they do. And Tanasi go hard, dude. Like, that, you don't go there unless you're a professional smoker.
Just to put this shit in perspective, I saw Rasta Jeff pass. I saw Rasta Jeff pass on a dab. He's like, no, bro, I'm good. I was like, holy shit.
Hey, look, I ain't gonna say no names, but at one of the DGC cups, somebody was recording, and I seen a big dog hugging the wall. I'm not gonna say no names, but one of the big dogs of the DGC was hugging the wall, off some edibles one time. So, you can't just mess around with those guys. These are professional growers.
Yep.
Yeah, and they make some hell of a concentrates and they make hell of a edibles, dude. Like, no, you can't mess around with that. You can't go there thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be fun. No, you got to go there prepared. This is an Olympic training event.
I was like, do I take a tolerance break before I go? And I'm like, that'd be fucking stupid.
No.
You gotta smoke your whole stash before you leave the house.
You got to bring out the big stuff that you've been holding, back in the day.
And I was eating so much edibles before I went just to make sure I had a tolerance level.
I can keep up with just about anybody smoking flower, but as soon as some of the dab rigs come out, I'm like, miss me with that stuff, man. Because you'll put me on the floor. Like, I can't even make it to hug the wall. Like, I'll just be laid out.
People I dab once a month.
No.
I dab once a month hard, but like I got a little dab pen now, so when I drive, that's when I utilize that. But other than that, I like dab once a month hard just to keep my tolerance up, to keep in the loop, because mess around with some of these dudes, man, like some of y'all smoke hard. I ain't even gonna lie. You gotta be prepared for that type of thing. Your homie just pop up on you. You can't just be like, oh shit, I was on my break a week ago. No, you just got to go hard.
Oh man. All right, the first time we met Tanasi and all of that crew was 2019. Yeah, so this year we were there. So 2019, it's at the Indo Expo. We've got a stall there. One of the people at the stall with us is one of our investors. Before he's invested in the company, he actually paid for the stall and everything. He wanted to come and see what the general reception to the product was like, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, he knows that's a weed thing, but he's quite cool with all of that. The whole time throughout this event, he's been saying, yeah. He doesn't smoke, but, he wants to get a bit of a buzz on, get high, blah, blah. So, all right, at some point we'll organize you some edibles or whatever. We'll figure something out. Anyway, Sunday, Dirtman Dan and Tanasi turn up with a bag of muffins. Or cupcakes, whatever. I think it was cupcakes that they'd made. So they had give one to me, give one to Lee, give one, and then like Ilan, the investor's like, oh yeah, I'll have one of those as well, and gives one to him. I take one sniff of it and go, ooh, that smells strong, but I've got a whole day here still, so I'm not eating this now. I put it to one side. I turn around watching like the investor, you know, lick the crumbs off around it. And we're like, oh, did you just eat all of it? And he went, yeah. Oh, okay. Whew. So how much weed have you done in the past? Oh no, once I got stoned, you're like, ooh, all right. Yeah. Let's see how this goes. Dude, at some point, I mean, I'm watching him and I'm just watching it kicking in more and more. You know, and you can see the look on the face. It's like, are you okay? I'm hallucinating. Yeah, that's to be expected. You know, how long is it going to last? Well, it's been 45 minutes, so you've got about another 8 to 10 hours.
Holy shit.
Oh man.
He was a mess. We eventually had to take him back to the hotel. Of course, it was like, oh, we've got to put him in an Uber and send him to the hotel. It's like, there's no way he's getting in that Uber by himself, man. There's certainly no way the Uber driver's letting him get in by himself.
Even if he made it that far, there's no way he's gonna find his hotel room. He's gonna walk in the lobby, sit down, and be there for 8 hours.
So we eventually do go back and check it. And so my mate went with him, got him to the hotel. We get back, you know, hours later, we get back to the hotel after packing up and go up to the room to find him just in his underwear, sweating like a pig. And he's just be like pacing up and down. He's like, how much longer? Well, still another 4 hours.
Yeah. You might want to go take a shower. You're only halfway there.
And the really funny thing is the night before he'd been slagging off the food in the hotel restaurant, which wasn't the best in the world. And we were like, no, come downstairs now, because that food that you were slagging off last night, you're gonna fucking kill us if we try and take it out of your hands tonight. And he was like halfway through, he's like, oh, this is so good, like, yay. Now you get it.
Oh man. Yeah, I can literally just like sit in the room while people are dabbing and I'll get as high as I want to be. I don't need to. I have a really sensitive system though, so I just know myself. I've been too high too many times.
Yeah. That's the thing that comes with experience. Like, oh yeah, no, I'm a little too high.
But flour, I mean, I can keep up with some flour. I'm the first one to say I don't need any of that when the dab rigs come out. Like I'll just sit here and waft and it can be just fine.
Yeah, it's the whole blowtorch thing that's a little off-putting.
Even the sound of it, even when you're not looking and you hear it go, you're like, wait a minute.
Cannabis, it's not crack. Yeah, I know, Granny. I know that's called green crack, but it isn't crack.
Right. Not actually crack.
Yeah. Unfavorable names. That's trying to be playing on the Irish as well. Ooh, actually, maybe I do have it.
It's been bailed on.
These chilies. Sorry?
Oh, everybody else was gone. I just said we've been bailed on.
Oh, have they? Oh, right. I didn't notice. But that's
Oh, that's pretty.
something called Pete's Poison. It's Durban Poison crossed Skunk number 1 crossed back with Durban Poison, and then that crossed with Special Kush number 1 from Royal Queen Seeds. And I would say it's definitely retained all of the Durban terpene profile, etc. But the got like the Kush structure kept nice and short. I mean, flowering cycles nice and short as well, actually. It's not too bad, but it's definitely got the perkiness of the Durban.
Rusty, are those 1 gallons or 2 gallons? They don't look big enough to be 3s.
No, these are 1 gals.
Awesome. Those look pretty
That's
good.
looking good. Yeah, it's looking really nice.
Wow, that one there on the end's pretty big.
Yeah, that's the one that's been living in a cloner for like 3-4 months.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. That's the Ethiopian banana X18.
Oh, gotcha.
No, the other 3s are the peach pies. They'll go under the cannon tomorrow.
Are you rating that cannon, and as in, rating it good? Yeah, still getting the thumbs up.
Yeah, I really liked it. I can see the benefit. Again, I'd have to use, make a few runs with it, but it definitely kept them orange gasms pretty squat. Just from what I've seen of the other guys' plants, mine didn't stretch hardly at all. So I don't know. Could be a lot of things, but yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, I mean, it would be interesting to see how Keats one orange gasm turns out, because Jesus, that thing was huge before he flipped it. It's like, have you thought this out?
Yeah. I saw some pictures. It looks like he's got it spread out through his whole tent now. So I don't know what he did with that one, or if he took it down to cut it all down the clones, or what he did, but it's definitely looks different than what it did.
Yeah, that was one that you could definitely spread out, take out most of a
Oh, that thing was enormous.
4x4 tent. Yeah.
I'll definitely veg under the cannon in that tent, but I might end up moving them into the 4x4 just to give them a little bit of space, because it was a little bit crowded in there. And that 3x3, so I might move the whole system up into the 4x4 at flower, at flip.
Yeah. I think that those pots definitely work. 4 in a 4x4 is definitely the way to do it.
Yeah.
Give them each
They
a
did
nice,
fine
nice
in there.
running
They
space.
weren't like smushing up against the walls real bad, but they could have, I could have definitely pulled them down more and did some more LST type stuff with them if I would have had a little bit more space, but they turned out well. I mean, they did really well.
Yeah, and that's the other thing you then have to watch out for is when they press up against the walls, because that's where the condensation occurs, and that's where the mold sets in and all the other crap. So are you salt growing or organic? I mean, say salt. I mean, salt's organic too. Yeah. But hydro or soil? Let's go that way.
Me?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I got 4x4 tent with a 4x4 raised bed in it. So it's all living soil.
So living soil. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And now, do you take the root bore out, or do you chop it and leave it in?
A lot of times I have to, because I'm trying to put a plant right where the last one was to keep the spacing right. To flip the next round. So a lot of times I take the root ball out, but I shake a bunch of the dirt out of the root ball, and then I just use the root ball as like a mulch. It'll just lay on top of the bed.
Okay. Yeah. That's something I have seen growing in popularity over here as well, is that you are seeing people doing, living soil, 5-6 runs through it now, for the 6 cycle. That's definitely one that takes its time to get to the point of it reaches its equilibrium and its balance and its rhythm.
It takes, you notice an incline in like plant health, yield, the temperament of the grow through definitely like the first 3 runs. Things just seem to improve, like visually you can tell. And then that 4th, 5th run is kind of like a sweet spot usually, and then after that you should probably start amending.
And then do you just amend with things like, the root ball, or root ball, along with other, I suppose it's top dressing additives that you would use?
Yeah, the same sort of amendments I use when I mix it up. So I've got neem meal and kelp meal and crab meal, oyster shell flour, gypsum. I've got a little bit of alfalfa meal, and then I'm gonna actually start harvesting. I grow medicinal herbs outside, so I'm gonna start harvesting some of those medicinal herbs and using those as top dress as well.
Okay.
Um, like I have comfrey, I have like 5 or 6 comfrey growing outside, and I want to harvest those leaves and hang them to dry and crush them into a meal and then top dress with that meal.
You can actually just top dress straight with, take the comfrey, just cut it up.
Yeah.
I use it on the chilies and that all the time, like that, just as a green manure, just throw it straight on top. And if you've got, microbial life and earthworms or anything else kicking through there, they'll tear it up in no time.
Yeah,
It's one of those I found breaks down really quickly.
I worry about my availability of the leaves in like the wintertime. I don't know because they're not going to grow as fast here. So to get me through the winter, I want to make sure I have a dried meal.
You could make comfrey tea. That would, well, yeah, that would last you through the winter because that's really concentrated as well, and that would do very well.
Yeah, I was gonna try the actually when the smoke clears, I'm gonna try to make a fermented plant extract, the KNF preparation with the comfrey, so that I have that as well. But
just be
like,
when you, I don't know if you ever ferment, if you ever, like, I don't know if it's from, made comfrey tea. Have you ever made it before?
no,
Because one word of, it's really easy. You just take a bunch of leaves, stick it in a bucket, put a brick on top of the leaves to hold them down, and fill the bucket with water and leave it for like 2 weeks. Yeah, be prepared.
I did it with some mint. I did it with peppermint spearmint, or maybe it was just peppermint. But I left it for like a year. I didn't leave it for just a couple weeks. I left it for forever.
This year you have to leave for 2 to 3 weeks or so. Maybe now when it's cooling down, you'd have to leave it for a bit longer. But the manure bit in green manure, the emphasis should be on the manure part because it honks.
Yeah.
I had to put a face mask on and spray it with aftershave and then put it on to work with it. And occasionally a waft would make its way through and you're like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a 5-gallon bucket full of mint, filled it full of water, put a rock on top of it, left it for, it took a year for it to not smell like ass anymore. But it has a decent smell now.
Oh no, this is stuff that you would then, so after like the 2-3 weeks or so that you've done it, you then strain that out, have just the really dark concentrated juice, and then you're diluting that. It'll still stink, and you're diluting that down fairly strongly actually. It's like a 10-to-1 sort of dilution ratio on it. But that's produced some of the most flavorsome bud that I've come across when that was used as the additional dressing was from the comfrey, because of all because the roots go down so deep. That's the one thing about comfrey. If you're wanting to like condition soil for other things to be growing there, you can don't plant. You plant sterile comfrey. Do not plant the kind that can actually seed itself, because welcome to growing comfrey.
Right.
You'll be doing it everywhere.
I heard a story about a comfrey farmer who wanted to get out of the business, and they were like, "Well, you can stop selling it, but
you're not going to stop
you're
growing.
still going to have it." Don't think you're just going to go plant something else.
Because the roots go like 9 feet down in certain circumstances. They really go down deep. So they pull all these macro minerals and nutrients from way down up. And so just turning them over into the soil is a really good way of conditioning the soil.
That's why I got like 6 of them. Yeah, I got the Baching 14 cultivar. I actually I ordered 6 and they sent me like 14. So I kept 6. I gave 6 to my girlfriend and then I gave a couple away.
That
So
just shows how
because-
quickly they reproduce. They only
Right.
sent you
And then
6.
either next year or the year after, we can dig them up and divide them further. So I'm pretty set. I'm just getting to the point now where I'm going to try the ferments and the extracts and that sort of stuff. So if
Yeah,
it wasn't smoky, I would have done it already.
I mean, I've got a raised bed and that I put in to grow the comfrey in, and I put in 8 plants, and it's like, whoa, that's a lot of fucking comfrey. It's like way more than I
Yeah.
actually need. And
And
that
then
I do nothing to it, and that thing has been going for 5 years now.
Oh, wow.
And every year it all just dies down and it just pops back again, dies down and pops back up. Same plants every time, no more, no less.
Yeah, I think if you do it right, I think you can cut them like a harvest 2 or 3 times a year,
Mm.
depending on where you're at. If you're in a hotter place, I think you can get 4.
Yeah, I don't know what this particular variety is, but you can certainly, I can cut it down 3-4 times throughout the year.
When you cut it down, do you just like chop it off at the base? Or do you take like 75% of the leaves and leave the new ones?
I kind of cut out the middle section, leave out just some of the bottom leaves that are the new leaves that are appearing down the bottom. And I just sort of chop the whole thing down. Yeah, kind of just lop it off. And then in winter, it just gets frozen over. So it dies back completely. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of February, it starts popping back up again. And then that's
Pretty excited to get further into that now that I'm done studying my brains out. So I'll actually have the time to try things.
Let me drop out there. Otherwise it gets a bit weird with all these different, I see myself appearing at different angles. Hey, Genetic Memory Farms, how you doing? Hey, wow, small people.
Back inside already, Pete?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, where have I been?
Lost in the chat. Well, yes, thanks. I see Tree Storm. Sorry, I'm just catching up on some of the stuff in chat. Oh, did anybody see that bit where you familiar with Bert Kreischer and Ari Shafir and all of that lot? Those guys at all?
Yep.
So Ari spiked Bert with some MDMA, and then they have the Legion of Skanks with Big J Okerson and all of that crowd. And at this event, they were going to spike Ari with some acid, and the one guy told Ari that, "Hey, dude, there's acid in your beer." And as Big J is giving some speech, Ari just shifts the beer over to where Big J is sitting. But the other guys haven't seen this happen. Because they had this election for becoming president of the Legion of Skanks, as they had the 2 opposition teams or parties, and the other lot think that Ari has now drunk the beer. And Ari's playing up to it. Hey, I mean, he's like, at one point he suddenly starts staring at the lights and everything. And this other team like, yeah, we got him. And he goes, "Oh, you think you got me? Well, you actually got him." And the worst bit of this whole the bloke that told Ari that there was acid in his beer watched Ari shifted over to Big J, okay, who at one point leads in after they've been saying, they started talking about, his beer being spiked. He leans into this other guy and goes, "We're safe, aren't we?" like our drinks haven't been spiked. And this bloke is kind of, yeah, we're safe, knowing full well that he's just drunk. Yeah, this whole plug of acid. Oh, it was hilarious. But yeah,
What was that?
yes.
What podcast did you hear that on?
Gotta be this. If you look at the on YouTube,
What is it on YouTube? You broke up.
Legion of Skanks.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look for that on YouTube, if you search for RE, LSD, Big J, there we go. It'll pop up if you search for that.
I'm sure it's been on Two Bears One Cave, but I haven't listened
This
to it in a while.
internet connection seems to be. Yeah, they had I see it. They had Leanne on the latest one. That's quite funny.
Bert's wife, Leanne?
So, yeah. I see somebody's asking, what's the best strain in the UK at the moment? I honestly wouldn't know. There are just so many. Yeah, there's so many different ones.
Cali weed, man. Cali weed.
Yeah. Therefore, triple the price because it came in a tuna tin.
You paid for the plane ticket.
Yeah, I've got a friend at a cannery. I can do that too. And call it Cali weed, sure. I mean, were you living Cascadian? So that's quickly try and switch to a different Wi-Fi connection. See if that helps out. Hold on a sec. Hopefully this doesn't fuck up too badly. Hey, there we go. Still there? Yep. Well, that was pretty smooth and seamless. Hey, technology. I'll praise it once it's worked. It's like you don't congratulate the chef until it's 24 hours after eating the meal.
Right. Until it's passed.
Yeah. You're not joining us for this meal, chef? No. It's like,
Red flag number one.
Oh man. Rip Kevin Jodry. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So now you're in Washington, did you say? Cascadian?
Yeah.
Okay. So there it's been legal for a while, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But there wasn't there a really weird law that started off with like, okay, you couldn't sell it, but you could give it away and you could be in possession of it. So people were doing like, $150 t-shirts with a free bag of weed.
Yeah, they've done some really weird stuff here. Honestly, I quit keeping up with a lot of it. I know they were trying to pass some other
And
laws.
generally do you yeah. And how have you found? I mean, like in compared to, you look at what happened in Canada with nationalization, but everybody talks, national weed is shit. Then you see in the US it's a little different because it's at the state level and you don't have like state weed. What have you seen as being any, as the benefit of the legalization movement? And just quickly, Lefty, what are you trimming on? Is a question from chat.
This is the cross I made in my White's plants. It's Harley Who, which is Doctor Who by Harley Sue. And I crossed it with something called Tiger Beet, which is cherry Kandahar by Stardog.
Wow.
It's got a like cherry berry flavor to it. But I was just trying to stabilize the Harley Who because it had some it had a few late herm issues, and I did like 3 different runs with seeds, and it popped out in 4 of the 5 seeds. So yeah, so I hit it to another 1-to-1, just try and stabilize it. Turned out pretty good.
Nice, nice.
I think the only real benefit to the legalization here, as they've set it up, is as far as like recreational, go to the store and buy it, is that you don't have to deal with the dealers that are also going to try to sell you the coke and the crack and the meth and the pills and the. So that's really like the biggest difference, is that it's easier to get your weed without a bunch of hassles. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's quite a shit show.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that Lefty, you didn't go to the dispensary when we were in Denver, did you? No. Well, we went, but some twat forgot his passport. They wouldn't accept a fucking
I didn't
license.
go, Pete. Nope.
But I did at a later date get an opportunity to go into a dispensary, and what's really funny, the difference between like Amsterdam. I haven't been to a club in Spain yet. Been to Spanibus, and it's everybody's handing it, but it's not legal in Spain, which is still they have a right to privacy laws and all this kind of thing. And the social clubs, it's a private place and a private club, and so there are some interesting things on that side. But when you go to a coffee shop in Amsterdam, you walk in, you got a menu, kind of all smells the same. It's all Amsterdam weed.
Yep.
And you can buy your 8 gram, whatever you want, then sit down, actually order a coffee, oddly enough, and smoke a joint, have a cup of coffee, read a newspaper, and then get up and go for the day. On the one holiday we were there, we were staying just around the corner. It was a greenhouse cafe, but they had outdoor seating.
It's
which
awesome.
I was the first time I'd been where you could smoke it outside because it's on their property. You're sitting there in the morning. You're on holiday, but you sit there first thing in the morning, and we're a little worrying when the construction site worker comes wandering in, wanders back out again. Like, okay, remind me where you're building, buddy. It's a bridge.
What bridge are you working on?
I'm gonna find you later with your finger in the dike, and I don't mean the red light district kind.
Yeah, there's nothing better than sitting down in a coffee shop at like 10, 11 o'clock at night, buying a couple of grams, rolling them up, and ordering a fucking cappuccino. It's just something about that Amsterdam cappuccino and smoking a joint. It's just, it's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it's one thing about smoking weed in different parts of the world is like in Colorado and Amsterdam, it's paranoia-free weed. Okay, even when you're out in public smoking it. Well, I mean, you can get into trouble in Amsterdam but they're just usually, if you're not making a major scene, they're not going to do it.
You gotta be an asshole.
You'll get a tap on the shoulder and oi, tourist, you're not allowed to walk around smoking weed. And you go, I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was doing. Put in your best American accent. And then in Spain, it's like kind of chilled. Mexico was interesting because it's and this was before Mexico legalized it at a personal level. It was as easy to get weed as it was to get cocaine in Mexico. It cost about the same as well. Yeah, you get given your change in coke. It's like, okay, fair enough. Uppers and downers. but and the weed in Mexico was just bag weed. It was nothing, brick weed. It was nothing particularly fancy. I bought it off a Vietnam vet as well. Just like, okay, so that was quite an experience. That was a little almost like stereotypical, like sort of like, okay, this is what you should be doing in the Tulum area of Mexico, backpacker kind of place where this guy's been living in the backpack spot for God knows how long. If you go, if you whistle as you get close, you watch him dive for the floor.
Yeah, it's not quite
my
like that.
apologies. But you got to be wary of the cops. You don't want to get caught by the cops. In fact, the place we were staying at, the bay we stayed at in Tulum, it was famous for, there's these two headlands, and this barrier reef touches the headlands, but it's a drop-off point for cocaine coming up from Belize, which is just a little bit further down the coast. They drop it off, and because the bay is quite calm, it's quite a popular spot for these drop-offs to happen. And so the army patrols up and down the beach occasionally. It was the dog will bark when the army's coming. And this was at the time when Bill Clinton had done the, but I didn't inhale. And the reference in the book was, so if you do inhale, don't exhale until the dog stopped barking. So that was pretty cool. And then in Vietnam, the locals are really chill with it, like super chill with it. Again, like when the police turn up, you just kind of hide it. Don't put it on show. Don't make it obvious. I think it freaked the fuck out of the family at the table next to us the first night in Vietnam when we arrived, because my brother's been living there for a while. He knows all the locals. He speaks Vietnamese. His clients are the police. Some policemen are his clients, or his kids. Their kids are his clients and whatnot. Then we sit at this bar and he's chatting with the mate. Somebody pulls over, and they're all very close. Personal space is a different thing there. It's like, well, what is personal space? It's like really close. And so next minute he's chatting to someone, and they go, okay, cool. They disappear, come back with 2 bags of weed. Boom, which they just throw down the table, say cheers to my brother, and fuck off. And it's like, okay, cool. I was like, hey, no, just roll one. He calls to the shop owner. Is it cool? They're like, yeah, it's fine, go for it. And this other like tourist family sitting at the table next to us is just watching, like, what the fuck is going? Because we're sitting there with our 2 kids. Skidding out while yeah. And it's smoke a joint, and then off we go. But we're staying in a backpacker spot on the beach where we turn up as tourists who've got money, because we're not there backpacking. They were there for a wedding party. We're only there for like 10 days. We're not trying to make the money stretch 6 months.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, bring me we drank the place dry in 2 days. They clearly had never expected a bunch of Scottish people to turn up. Not that I'm Scottish, but my brothers, mates, that turned up with Scottish. It's like, well, I see you only have 15 bottles of whiskey. Oh, that's the morning taken care of. And at one point, my brother just went around and threw bags of weed into everybody's apartments when they go, and then the military do their thing, or the government come around looking for their bribe from the local, from the owner of the establishment. Really cool Canadian guy. And then it's just a case of, just quickly run around and make sure there's no weed on show. Okay, cool. And they just, he just keeps them chatting. They know what's going on. There's some money handed over. They walk around, pretend to do, a bit of show. And, all the kitchen staff suddenly put their face masks and gloves on to show that they're sticking to the hygiene. And as soon as they're gone, face masks and gloves are off. It's back to slaughtering chickens over. Oh yeah, you're vegetarian. That's cool. No. It's only a little bit of blood in the salad. What's the problem?
Right.
Vietnam, I can recommend as our destination. Really, really cool country to go to. And then South Africa, where I grew up. Yeah, smoking weed over there was an interesting experience because it was very legal. Hang on a second. So you got to realize this was during the apartheid regime. So smoking weed or, hang on, I'll put you on to spotlight you there. Did that work? There we go. You need to put your hand behind it. That's nice looking.
Yeah, looks pretty good.
How long did that have to flower for?
61 days I took it.
Okay, that's not bad.
Mm-mm.
Not bad at all, sir. Yeah, so growing up there, when you've got to appreciate it's during the apartheid regime. So putting all of that in context, the smoking dagga, as it's known locally, was seen as something that the blacks did, you know, and that was, if you were a whitey and you got caught, they really looked down on you. I mean, it was like kind of this double whammy, you know. It's, I guess it's like being in the rural South, as in when you wanted, it's the same kind of thing was happening. It's suddenly like, huh. And yeah, that's changed now. I mean, now it has really liberal laws. So when you were growing up, you had to be really fucking careful. You did not want to get, I mean, getting caught with a joint butt near you was problematic. Even if it wasn't yours, so that was, I mean, I remember we went to a festival. This was after living here. I went back, go out for a festival, and getting there, we rolled a couple of joints to take with us, and also some acid, but heading up, smoked one joint, think, usually there's a roadblock somewhere just before we get there. Better smoke the other roadblock. Oh, shit. Just as you're about to, like, fuck me. All right, and they're pulling the cars over, and you see the van in front of us, which is a bunch of hippies being pulled out of their camper van and being, with their luggage, taken over to a tent. Like, oh, fuck. Thankfully, I had a corporate job, so working at, not looking, so I'm working on the fact that let's use this to my advantage. I've also got a British driver's license, which is something that they're not expecting. All right, Lefty, no worries, buddy.
Yeah, I was in the same boat here. I gotta go eat soon too.
See you guys.
All right, man.
Cool. Catch you later, dude.
Yeah, man.
I shall see you on Saturday.
Yeah, man. That should be.
Yeah, and they pull us over. I'm like, fuck. This joint. What am I gonna do? So haul us out the car, and they said, "Do you have anything with you?" And I said, "Yes, I've got this." Now I've also happened to have like 20 trips, and not wearing shoes. I'm wearing slops. I've got them underneath my. I'm trying to like, you're curling your toes down to hold the back of the slop up against the sole of your foot so it doesn't flip and go. And having to explain 20 trips. And I just did this, and then I gave them my passport, and not my passport, the driver's license. Because this British driver's license at the time is a paper one that unfolds like an ordnance survey map into this massive thing that once you've got it unfolded, it's like, how the shit do I get it back down again? And I said, well, yeah, all we've got is this other joint with us, and we hand it to them. And it was really good, and just heal it into the ground, going, well, that was a very clever thing you did, handing it over, blah, 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 blah. I'm just watching that going, no. But thinking, it's all right, my mates are ahead and they've got like another kilo of it at the festival already. So, but it was still so disheartening, like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Hey, well, dude, if you need a shoot, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna bail out too. Go find some lunch and see
Yeah.
what happens. Probably a nap after that.
Well, enjoy.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me
Have
on.
fun.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
no, absolutely. It was good. Yeah, this is just a general hanging out. I mean, like,
All
it's
right,
good
man.
just to have
Have a
general
good one.
chats and talk about crap and see how it goes. Will do. Later, stay safe.
All right, man. You too.
Well, the invitation is open if anybody else, genetic memory, if you want to jump on, the link's there. You should be able to. Still got a bit of cider to drink, so I don't mind hanging on for a little bit longer. If people don't mind, I mean, fuck, I don't know. At this stage, it's just me rambling on for a bit. But yeah. I'm just going to ramble and I'm staying absolutely silent. I can't recommend that episode of the Legion of Skanks, the one with the Ari Shafir not getting spiked, well, getting spiked, not getting spiked. That's a pretty funny one. Well, actually, maybe we should call it. It's almost 2 hours of this been going on for. And unfortunately, I don't think I can just ramble on by myself for ages. I need the other participants for some live conversation. I can talk at somebody else for ages. Put myself on my phone and I can talk to myself. Well, all right then. I shall. Oh, well, thanks, Genetic Memory. It was hey, you don't ask, you don't know. It was worth a try. But yeah, okay, everyone. Well, thank you once again for tuning in for what hopefully was an interesting chat for a bit. Remember to do tune in this Saturday, having the season 3 finale, which is going to be yeah, get to see how everybody. Excuse me, hold on a second. Yeah, how everybody finally got on with the Autopot system. We should have Manny from Autopot USA on. We'll have Ben, who will also represent Autopot from the UK and Europe, or the rest of the world as well. Jaren from New Millennium, so from the nutrient side, and obviously Jeff as well from the Army Genetics side of things. And it'll be getting to see how everybody found, everybody's final thoughts on using the system, pros, cons, what they would like to change. And we'll be talking about, probably going into a bit more detail about season 4. And that is at 9 p.m. UK time. So this again, 4 p.m. New York, 2 p.m. in Denver, and 1 p.m. in LA. I think if you're going in the other direction, yeah. If you're watching, yeah, figure it out, man. We're GMT +1 at the moment. Yeah. So cool. All right, everybody. Catch you Saturday. Cheers, Tree Star Meadow, Genetic Memory Farms, My One Vids. Sure, hit us up on Instagram. We'll catch you later. DBLR. Yeah. I hope everything works out for you. Whatever. And I haven't read all the chat bits. Anyway, I shall catch you guys later. Stay safe.